Hey there, superstar. Welcome to Standards and Boundaries, how to have good agreements in your coaching business. In this video, I'm going to start by sharing with you a metaphor around how to approach standards and boundaries that I learned from my own mentor. And then we're going to look at a whole bunch of different areas in your coaching business where I invite you to seriously consider creating better agreements in order to enforce your standards and boundaries. Good fences make good neighbors. I know you've heard that quote before, and nowhere I think has it affected my life more than in the world of coaching agreements. Coaching is can be a really challenging business. When you get into the world of helping people transform and shift and expand, you run up against all sorts of their inner issues. You run up against traumas that you don't even know they have. You can run into limiting beliefs and stories that they've created. It's just, people's subconscious, people's mindset is really what impacts their success the most. And as coaches, I know you know that most of what we're dealing with at a lot of times, is under the surface, is not the most obvious, visible strategy type of stuff, even if you're a business coach. If people know what they have to do and then they don't do it. People want to lose weight, they know they got to eat less, and it's still really hard for us, I'm going to say, to do that. And so being a coach, you're going to run into the best of people, their ambitions, their desires, their vision, their possibilities, their dreams, and also the worst too, the shadow and what's coming up to get in the way of that. And so part of what needs to happen in order to have a successful practice is to have really clear standards and boundaries. Now, one of the people in my life that I've learned the most from about this topic is Dr. Nanilea Diamond. You've probably heard me talk about her before. She's my client. She's also my coach. We coach each other. And she is just brilliant in the world of personal development transformation, especially when it comes to the nervous system and trauma and just alchemizing deep, deep pain and wounds. And so she has this metaphor around standards and boundaries. She calls it the energetic castle, that your energetic castle that you occupy is built of your floors, which are your standards, your walls, which are your boundaries, and your ceilings, your cathedral ceilings, hopefully, which are your upper limits. And those cathedral ceilings, those upper limits, are basically determined by the integrity of the boundaries and the standards. The idea is that the standards are like your floor of the energetic castle. They are the point below which you will not go. And then your boundaries are your walls. So your standards are kind of your agreements with yourself about what you require, what you desire, what you're available for, what you're not available for. And kind of start to think about you as like a sovereign in your castle, right? Like a queen, if you're a woman like me. I'm a queen in my castle. I've got my standards below which I will not go. I've got my boundaries, my walls, my doors, my moat, right? Protecting my castle, my sovereignty. I can choose to have those doors wide open, or I can choose to close them up. I have that sovereignty. And of course, then there's the upper limits, which basically say how far I can go, right? The more you raise the bottom of the floor, potentially sometimes, especially right away, often the more boundaries you're going to need to put into place, and that will allow your ceilings to rise. So I'm going to share with you the areas in your coaching practice where I think it's really important to establish standards and have boundaries in place. And for all of this, I'm talking about, verbal standards and boundaries. I'm talking about written down and also even contractual. And so when you do an agreement or a contract to enforce some of these standards and boundaries, I highly recommend having a lawyer look at them. So I'm going to share with you some of what I've learned, and this is not legal advice, okay? As we get started, I'm going to say that a lot of these things, you can have different agreements all over the place, sure. And the best place, I think, to establish your foundational agreement with clients, the best place to put all of this is in the beginning of the relationship. I think the earlier you address some of this stuff the easier it is to deal with, especially if something comes up. And so your enrollment agreement into your programs, I think, is one of the most crucial documents that you will ever craft in your business. That enrollment agreement, mine over the years has developed into something really quite wonderful, because when people sign it, when people read through it and sign it, they are really clear what they are signing up for and what it's going to take from them, and how we're going to go, how we're going to operate. So these are some of the things that I address in my agreements, and I address them in a few other places as well. The first is intellectual property, meaning maybe you, like me, have developed a body of work that you're proud of, and it's yours. I'm going to assume that you are not stealing somebody else's intellectual property. I certainly hope not, but that you've developed your own and that it's yours and it's proprietary. That's something that I would create some standards and boundaries around. I've had the experience of people, ex-employees, clients, swiping my content. Just like last week, 2 days ago, I just saw an ex-client post on Facebook this whole thing that was actually my content. Luckily, this is all in my agreement, so I'm able to reach out and say, hey, did you realize that this was a violation of our intellectual property agreement? This is the agreement you signed, and this is the post on Facebook. I'd appreciate it if you could remove it and also give me credit or give me credit. So we haven't actually done the outreach for that yet. We need to do it. But essentially, intellectual property, what are the rules around using your content? Maybe you want people to use it. That's fine. But if you don't, then I suggest putting something in place and addressing it. One thing that I offer to people is like, hey, you can use my content. Just credit me for it. Just put my name and my website, or use the actual material with my logo and everything on it so that I get credit for it. Another thing you'll want to address is confidentiality. Especially in a coaching program, people are going to reveal things to you. I think it goes a long way to developing more trust if people know that what happens in your coaching sessions is going to stay in your coaching sessions. And also, if you're in a group coaching program, that they will not share what other people share, and that other people won't share what they share. Everybody's signed the same agreement. Now, before I continue, I want to invite you to subscribe to this channel so that you know about my future videos that come out. And please like this video, maybe even post a comment below. Another thing you'll definitely want to address in your agreement is, what are the terms of service? What are you promising in this agreement? What are the deliverables? Is it, this many coaching sessions, or is it this, how often the coaching sessions are? So whatever it is that you're agreeing to, you'll want to include that somewhere in the agreement, and potentially even include in there somewhere that there's an opportunity to revise it or to update it or to adjust it based on new information as it comes. You want to introduce the time frame of the agreement, the payment structure, payment plan of the agreement, and of course, something that no one likes to talk about, termination or cancellation of the agreement. I am a big believer that you need to, number one, reserve the right to terminate a client at any time, especially if they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. A lot of times these agreements that people lay out, what the coaching program is and what their responsibilities are, but they don't lay out what the client's responsibilities are. So really invite you to look at the two-way street nature of this and what it's going to take from the client side, what the client is promising to you as well. And so if that's not working out, you want to have, reserve the right to be able to let that client go and address what are the terms of that. Do you give refunds or do you not give refunds? In terms of a cancellation, let's say the client wants to cancel, right? What are your terms for cancellation? I'm a big believer that for a proper coaching program, people need to make a proper commitment. It's part of the reason that I structure the business the way I structure it. I don't make a 1-year agreement with a stranger that I speak to for 45 minutes on the phone. I just don't think that I'm, at this point in my career, in my business, able to make a good enough judgment call in that one 45-minute conversation to invite someone to work with me for a whole year. So the way I work is everyone enrolls first in a 3-day. That way I get to see them in a group. I get to see how they interact. I get to see how they take my leadership. I get to see a lot more. And then I enroll in a 1-year. And in my 1-year program, there are no cancellations. This is an agreement for a year, although I have the right to terminate a client if I'm finding that they're not being a good fit. A few things you might want to consider as well is, what are the communication channels? How available are you to the client? How should a client schedule with you? Are you doing a standing session? Do they have to schedule every single week or every month? What are the rules of engagement, so to speak? And finally, something you might want to consider having, and I did this for years, and I've changed it recently. I'll share with you how I did that. But you might want to have some behavior guidelines. Like, this is how we show up. Here are our core values. This is how I'm expecting. You need to be prepared. That means having filled out the questionnaire at the beginning of the call or whatever that is. So behavioral guidelines. And what I've done now is I've shifted that to an initial section in my contract where people initial, what they agree to. So like, I'm agreeing to show up at whenever possible for the weekly inner circle call. I agree to do everything within my power to attend the 2 family vacations every single year, right? So people are initialing this, and that way they're basically seeing how they're expected to show up in the program. And if they have any questions, then that would be a really good time to bring them up for me. Like, what happens if I can't attend a call? Like, it's okay, and you just agree to, whenever possible, watch the recording. So it also can be, these agreements, these standards, these boundaries can be a way to improve communication, get to know your clients better, and go deeper before you make this really big commitment. I hope that this video has been valuable for you. If you're looking for ways to up-level your agreements, your standards, your boundaries, your coaching practice in general, let's connect. You can set up a time with me at superstaractivator.com/go. I look forward to meeting you.